The courtroom was enveloped in an unbreakable silence. The atmosphere was so heavy, it felt as though time had stopped. Everyone in the room remained quiet, their eyes fixed on me and Buddy, my loyal German shepherd, who sat silently beside my wheelchair. It felt as though the entire room was waiting for something significant to happen, a moment that would change everything. I could feel the tension in the air, as though nothing existed except for this eerie silence. My hand gripped the armrest of the wheelchair, trying to stay calm. My heart was pounding, but I made an effort to hide the worry on my face. Buddy lay beside me, his eyes following me, and though he didn't say a word, I could feel his strong presence offering encouragement. He was the only companion I had through these difficult years. Every eye in the room was on us. The people around us said nothing, but I knew they were watching every move Buddy and I made. Everyone was waiting for me to explain, for me to justify the bond I had with this dog. They couldn't understand the friendship between Buddy and me, the help and protection this dog had provided me over the years. In my mind, memories of the battles I fought alongside Buddy flashed vividly. The dog wasn't just a pet. It was a close friend and protector, always ready to sacrifice itself for me. In times of danger, Buddy had saved my life. It helped me get through the darkest moments of my life when the world seemed to be nothing but darkness and despair. Although no one in this room could understand our bond, I knew I couldn't let Buddy go. He was an irreplaceable part of my life. Only Buddy knew what I had gone through. Only Buddy understood the pain I faced every day. My eyes met the judge, who sat at the bench with a stern expression. Each of his questions and each glance from the people in the room made me feel as if I were standing before an irreversible decision. But I couldn't lose Buddy. There was no reason strong enough to make me part ways with this dog. I would fight to keep Buddy, no matter what challenges lay ahead. Buddy and I had faced countless battles together, places where life was reduced to mere survival. On those brutal battlefields, where every moment could be the end, Buddy wasn't just a German shepherd. It was an invaluable friend, a reliable comrade. Nothing could replace Buddy's role in my life. It wasn't just a teammate on missions. It was a protector, someone I could rely on in the most dangerous moments. There were countless times when Buddy saved me from danger. The dog never hesitated, always ready to throw itself into dangerous situations without thinking about its safety. It helped me avoid deadly traps, pulling me out of situations I couldn't escape on my own. And in those moments when I felt hopeless, unable to face the dark memories of war, Buddy was always there, making me feel like I wasn't alone. It is the only friend I have, a friend who would never betray me, a friend who would never leave me behind. The friendship between Buddy and me is not something that can be measured by reason. It's a bond that only we truly understand. Buddy protected me during the war, and even when the war ended, it stayed by my side, helping me fight the ghosts of the past. Both of us went through unimaginable trials, and with each battle, I realized that this relationship was an indispensable part of my life. However, today, I face a challenge greater than ever before. In the stillness of the courtroom, I feel anxiety creeping into my heart. I'm facing a decision that cannot be undone, and the uncertainty of Buddy's future makes my heart ache. Will I be able to keep Buddy by my side as a true friend, or will it be seized and become nothing more than a military asset, a soulless object that no one understands the true value of? This isn't just a legal matter, it's an event that will shape my life. I cannot imagine life without Buddy, without the friend I fought with, survived with, and shared the hardest moments of my life with. It is my family. And now I'm faced with the possibility of losing it, a loss that I cannot accept. But I cannot sit idly by and let that happen. Every second in the courtroom stretches on, and I can feel the tension in the air. Every eye is on me. They stare at Buddy, and then at me. I know that none of them can understand the bond between Buddy and me. They don't understand how many times Buddy saved my life, how it stood by me even when I couldn't stand up for myself. So, I must stand up and fight, not for myself, but for Buddy. I will not let it become just a military asset. I will not let our memories be erased, nor will I let this friendship turn into a story that others do not understand. It is a part of me, and I cannot lose it. When I stood up in front of the court, my voice trembled, but it was resolute. I told everyone in the room that Buddy was not a military asset. It is my companion, the one I fought alongside, the one I shared the hardest moments of my life with. I love it as a true friend, and I will fight to keep it by my side. My story with Buddy is not just about war, nor just about the struggles on the battlefield. It is a story of loyalty, sacrifice, and unconditional friendship. In a world full of turbulence, Buddy is one of the few things I can trust, and no matter what happens, I will not let it go. The judge sat there staring at me with a cold gaze as though I were a criminal. Everything in the room was silent, and I could feel the tension in the air. But no matter how doubtful his eyes were, I knew one thing for sure. He could not understand the bond Buddy and I share. No one could understand the feelings I was holding inside. I didn't even think I could fully express my emotions at this moment. I have never faced a decision like this in my life. I have devoted my entire life to the military, fought in bloody battles, and countless times I nearly couldn't overcome the challenges. But in my darkest moments, Buddy, my German Shepherd, was the only one by my side, the only friend who helped me stand strong. He was not just a pet, but a loyal comrade. He had saved me countless times, not only in combat, but also in the battles in my mind after the war ended. I remember the first time Buddy entered my life. I was still a young soldier, full of enthusiasm but lacking experience. The dog back then was just a puppy, but from the moment we met, I felt an unusual connection between us. And when the war came, when everything around me turned into a life-or-death struggle, Buddy was always there, never leaving my side. He was the only companion I could trust, the one who protected me from the unpredictable dangers. When the war ended, my life never returned to what it was. The memories of battle, the nightmares that haunted me relentlessly, were hard to escape. I couldn't shake off the images of fallen comrades, the blood-soaked scenes, the life-or-death decisions I had to make. I had lost so much. But Buddy, my loyal dog, was the one who never abandoned me. He was the only light in my darkest days. Today, I face the worst decision of my life. Whether I can keep Buddy with me, or whether he will be taken away from me, reduced to nothing more than a military asset, a possession I have no right to own. This question feels like a devastating blow to my heart. I can't imagine my life without Buddy. I can't face losing the one friend who has always been there for me through every trial. Buddy is not just a dog, Your Honor. My voice trembled with emotion. I tried to control myself, but at that moment, I couldn't hold back. He has saved my life in many dangerous situations. He helped me overcome all the nightmares of war. I can't live without him. The crowd in the courtroom remained silent, their gazes seemingly unchanged. But I knew they didn't understand. They couldn't understand the bond between Buddy and me. They saw us as two objects in a case. But to me, Buddy was an entire part of my life, a friend I fought with, a friend I survived with. No words could truly describe this feeling. Buddy lay silently beside me, his deep eyes staring at me as though he understood everything I was feeling. Though he didn't speak a word, his presence said it all. It was the unconditional loyalty that only those who've been through experiences like mine could feel. Buddy was not just a dog. He was my family, my comrade, my friend who fought beside me in the darkest moments. The judge continued to look at me, his expression seemingly unchanged, but I knew he couldn't be unaffected by what I had just said. He might not understand, but at least he would have to reconsider his decision. I may not change everyone in this room, but I would fight to keep Buddy here. No one had the right to take away the one friend I had. No one could break the bond we had built over all these years. I have gone through many hardships in life, and I have lost many things. But nothing, no one, could replace Buddy. This dog is my irreplaceable friend, and I will do everything to keep him by my side. No matter what happens, I won't let Buddy go. Suddenly, Buddy stood up, pulling his leash from my hand. The German shepherd, whom I always considered my loyal companion, began barking uncontrollably, the sound echoing through the silent courtroom. All eyes in the room turned toward us, but I knew Buddy was sensing something we couldn't see. He wasn't an ordinary dog. He was a battle-hardened comrade, a friend who had helped me through countless dangers. And now it was clear that he was warning me of an impending danger. The entire room seemed to freeze as Buddy moved toward the door of the courtroom. It wasn't just an unusual action. It was a clear sign that something was wrong. I tried to stay calm, but my heart began to race as I watched Buddy's every step. Each of his steps was sure, yet filled with worry as if he was searching for something. And then, a strange figure appeared at the door of the courtroom. The man moved slowly, his posture confident, as if he knew exactly what he was doing. This sentence is already correct in terms of spelling and grammar. The light from the fluorescent lamps in the courtroom reflected off his hood, making his face even more shadowed. Though he said nothing, I could feel his ominous presence. My unease grew, and I felt that it wasn't just Buddy, but the entire room was becoming more and more tense. "What does he want?" I asked myself, but the answer hadn't come. Everything in the room seemed to stop, with only Buddy's barking echoing throughout the corners of the room, stretching out in the gloomy atmosphere. Buddy continued to growl, and I could feel the tension rising in the air. He moved closer, still keeping his distance, but his gaze never left the strange man. I realized that Buddy wasn't just warning me. He was protecting all of us from a danger only he could sense. Although the people in the room were beginning to whisper and glance at each other with concern, I knew they couldn't understand the real threat Buddy was feeling. The man took another step forward, each of his movements calculated. His eyes glimmered beneath his hood, but I couldn't make out his face clearly. I could only feel a chilling, resolute energy emanating from him. This feeling was not the kind of sensation one gets when dealing with a lawsuit. It was the feeling of someone with a clear purpose, someone after something much larger. The threat was not about me or Buddy, but something bigger, something I couldn't understand at that moment. I couldn't stop myself from the thoughts that were flooding my mind. What was happening? Why had this man appeared here in the courtroom while everything else seemed to be proceeding normally? And most importantly, what did he want? Each passing second felt heavier, as if the air in the room was thickening, making it harder for me to breathe. A sense of uncertainty was slowly covering everything. Buddy kept moving toward the stranger, never taking his eyes off him for a second. The tension in the room continued to build. Everyone in the room couldn't help but feel the shift. They began to exchange anxious looks. Their calm demeanor from earlier had now vanished. Whispers started to rise, but no one dared to act. The atmosphere seemed frozen, and everyone was waiting for something to happen. I knew that things wouldn't be as simple as I had thought. This was not just a battle in the courtroom. This was a much bigger battle, a truth that I couldn't avoid. The danger wasn't just affecting me and Buddy. It could involve everyone else in the room. But I couldn't back down. No matter what, I had to protect Buddy, protect my only companion. The man took another step forward, but still he didn't speak. He seemed to sense the tension in the room, but maintained a strangely calm demeanor. I started to feel cornered, unable to act, unable to understand what he wanted. Fear began to take over me, but I knew if I didn't do something, if I didn't act now, everything would spiral out of control. Buddy barked again, this time not just a bark, but a deep growl full of power. I could sense the strength and determination in his actions. Buddy wasn't just protecting me. He was warning all of us about a threat we couldn't see. Every bark from Buddy was a clear warning, and I knew I couldn't let this go on without taking action. "No one is leaving here," I said, my voice firm but filled with worry. My eyes were fixed on the man, and my sense of tension grew stronger. The feeling that something was about to happen, and I couldn't do anything to stop it, made me feel increasingly helpless. All eyes in the room were now on Buddy and me, but I knew that none of them could understand. No one but Buddy and I could understand what was truly happening here. "He's not going anywhere," I said firmly, my voice wavering in the thick tension that filled the room. "Buddy is my family." The man stood in front of me, his slight smile hiding a coldness. He didn't say anything immediately, just took another step closer, which made the sense of threat more palpable. Though my emotions were swirling inside me, I forced myself to maintain my position. I understood that this wasn't just about keeping a dog. This was about something much bigger. This battle was not only about Buddy, but about what we are truly capable of protecting in life. I stared at the man, sensing the change in the atmosphere. People around me were beginning to feel the spread of tension. But for me, everything had become clear. This wasn't just a struggle over material possessions. It was a struggle to protect the most precious things in my life: friendship, loyalty, and trust. Things that cannot be measured by money or power. Buddy had been with me through my hardest times. This dog wasn't just a fighting companion. It was an irreplaceable part of my life. It had pulled me out of deep mental pits I couldn't escape from. It had given me a reason to keep living after every war nightmare. Our story is proof of the power of friendship, of the invisible bond that only those who have gone through great trials can truly understand. I know that the man in front of me doesn't understand this. He doesn't know what Buddy has done for me, and he cannot comprehend the deep affection I have for this dog. But I cannot let him take away the most precious thing I have. I cannot allow what I have spent my life building to be shattered by selfishness or ignorance. "You can try to take Buddy," I said firmly, "but you can't take away what Buddy and I have built. He is not just a dog. He is my family, and I will not give up my family." The man didn't say anything. He just stood there silently observing me. I could sense a shift in his attitude. He no longer seemed as confident as he had before. That made me even more certain that I was on the right path. Things aren't always easy, and I know this battle is far from over. But I am ready to fight for what I cherish, for Buddy, and for the loyalty we share. My story with Buddy is not a simple one. It is a lesson about friendship, about perseverance, and about standing up to protect what matters. It is a lesson about not giving up, no matter how difficult the circumstances, about holding on to genuine trust in those you care about in life. And it is a lesson about sacrifice. Because sometimes, to protect those we love, we must be ready to face challenges far greater than we ever imagined. Life is not always fair, and sometimes we have to fight to keep what's ours. But if we have resilience and a clear purpose, we will always find the strength to overcome any obstacle. Thank you for listening to the story of Buddy and me. Thank you for being here and witnessing the perseverance and unconditional friendship that we share. I hope our story can inspire you and help you realize that even in the toughest of situations, we can always find the strength to protect what is precious. And sometimes in life, what matters most isn't victory, but loyalty and trust in the companions who stand by us. Remember, no matter how tough it gets, you can overcome it if you believe in yourself and in the friends who are there with you. Life may present us with challenges, but friendship and resilience will help us overcome them all. Once again, I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you for following our story. I hope that you will always keep faith in the close friends in your life, as they are the source of strength that will help us face every challenge.